Let's just quickly check whether we're live. Come on. I think we're live.
YouTube probably has like some sort of delay, right? For like 10, 20 seconds, something like that.
Yep, we're live, guys. How's it going, everybody? We're going to have today a guest who has played millions of hands at the Microstakes. He has coached over 500 players how to get out of the Microstakes. And he today is going to be here with us talking about poker life, his early career, how to get out of the micros, of course, and about poker sites. We're going to talk about that as well. I want to welcome Scrimitzu over here. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, how's it going? First of all, I want to say hello. How's it going? My name is Scrimitzu. Most people call me Scrim, so you can also call me Scrim. Me and Andres are like friends from like a while ago. We're part of the same like Twitch team. We're like also dangling on like YouTube. So we're basically trying to reach out to like more people and educate them on the quality of the poker game as being like a skill game, as being a fun game, and also just generally like having a laugh here or there.
Cool. So yeah, and basically what I was forgetting. Nice. How did you get into poker at first? Like, what's your poker story?
All right, man. So my poker story is very, very interesting because I had like, you know, no one ever when they're like a little kid, and this is like available for like a lot of professions, you know, it's like you never think like when you're a little kid, you're like, I'm gonna be a poker player. Hell no one does that. No, okay, maybe Doug Polk, but no one does that. No one like ever did that. Like, yo, I'm gonna be, you know, children want to be like astronauts, children want to be like doctors, lawyers, you know, stuff like that. But then it's just no, I ended up playing cards. Like imagine this, pay attention. I was actually debating this. When you're like a parent, okay, and you go to your school, and the teacher asks like, okay, what do your parents do? You know, so the child is like, my dad plays cards. The teacher will be like thinking that you're some sort of gambling dude, or you just waste your time at home, just like whatever. Like my dad plays poker at home. What?
I mean, first of all, I want to ask you, what do your parents say about it? Like, are they totally cool? What was the early stage?
My parents totally know. The early stage is crazy because my mom, like my father has like left when I was like 11 or something like that, but he's totally cool with it. He bought both my books, so that's good. My mom actually told me when I was like around 20, I was playing. I wasn't like consistently winning, I think, but I was definitely playing. So my mom told me a scary story about one of her colleagues at work that borrowed money from like a loan shark to pay off his gambling debts, because poker is kind of like weird around here. Like, there are some shady venues that if you get to play, and you get to play for like really, really high stakes, and some people get attracted to that. And I think people like it's nothing official. It's just like, you know, back rooms of bars or something like that. Like it could be. And there are people who like lose like a lot there or something like that, you know? So basically she told me a story about a colleague of hers at work, and they had to like run to Canada because they had too much debt. So, and she told me like in a very, very serious tone, never play poker for real money. I'm very serious. I'm very serious. Because I was playing like all sorts of like tournaments on like Full Tilt back then and stuff like that, and I was telling her, nah, it's like fake money. This is lazy. Like it doesn't say. It's like points. I'm playing for points, and he's like, it's fine.
I think my grandfather also, he used to play lots of cards. Like I actually learned the Swiss card game, which is called Yassen. I learned it from him, and you know, I was playing with my grandparents. And then, you know, my mother was also a bit worried that I was gonna get hooked, because I think he was also playing for quite some stakes. But he had his own company, so he was making lots of money with his company. But then I think he lost a lot gambling. So yeah, my mother was always a bit worried about that. But yeah, I mean, also, I think you got recently married, right? Is that correct? Recently is like maybe an overstatement.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Recently is May this year, so it is recently.
Okay, then I still had it right in mind.
Yeah. So eventually, the way I told my mom, because my dad like was like out of picture back then, I didn't have to tell anyone. But the way I told my mom was like, I showed her like a few sacks of money, and I told her, "Look, this is from poker. I'm doing this. There's nothing you can do. I'm living alone right now. I'm paying my own rent. I'm doing like, and I want to pursue this." She was like, "Okay." That was it.
Did you pull off a Carlos Matos? You know Carlos?
What's up?
When you put money on the table and you know Michigan Street and right in front of eyes.
Yeah. No. It's a scam. No. Like, honey, I got the 10,000 here. Yeah. I basically pulled the Carlos Matos. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Not the other sides of him. No.
Okay, then it's good. Then she's gonna believe it. Okay.
Yeah, this was like a while ago, so I have no. Also, my grandparents don't know about this, so they're like they think that I'm coaching people for like IT online.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. It's better that way because
sometimes you never teach an old dog. Sometimes people won't really. There's a. Do you know the series called Wayward Pines? Have you ever seen it?
No,
okay,
sir.
Like that series is about very futuristic, and it's basically about also the different generations, and it has the premise that only children can adapt to a new world. So they actually want to live like in 2,000 years from now, so they freeze themselves in time, and they wake up 2,000 years from now. And in that new world, everyone's dead beside the people within Wayward Pines, that small village within, surrounded by pines. And so they want to then teach the children about the new world, that, everyone's dead. And the old people, like the parents and the grandparents, they don't believe that they would go crazy in that new world. And only the children can cope with it because they have those fresh minds. And that's
very smart. Yeah.
It was a very inspiring I think it's one of the best series that I've seen, because it's just inspiring for me to think about human beings and how they could cope in a world like that. I like those. It's not too much. Sure, the idea is a bit, of course, crazy, but at the same time, it suggests how people react in a scenario like that, and I actually love that.
I wrote it down. I actually wrote it down because I want to watch it now.
Cool, yeah, guys. If you haven't seen Wayward Pines, sure. When it comes to the dialogue, it's not like the best of the best from the acting standpoint. But I just think the idea and what it suggests is pretty good.
I think you miss your profession. You should be a movie reviewer. You should work for IMDb. You just instantly got me into that. You just like legit instantly got me into that. That series, right? Okay, like instantly, cool. And now I want to watch it.
I actually love movie reviews. There's like a YouTube channel that I watch about Black Mirror.
That's like one of my favorites. Yes.
Harry's Moving Castle. I don't know if you've seen the YouTube channel. Like,
nope.
He reviews every episode of Black Mirror, and I think does an amazing job. And I actually watched all of them. I watched all the episodes, and yeah, I love Black Mirror as well. Huge fan. And
it's so good. It's so good. It's like ridiculous. What's your favorite episode, by the way?
I have to think about it.
I think mine is the one with like the bicycles.
Which one was that?
The one with the whatever's got talent. The chick and the guy who get together, and he pays for her entry in the talent contest.
Oh, yeah, that's one. That's pretty good. That's about that has a lot of elements in it like that. You know, guys, if you haven't watched the episode, it's
Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror, and that episode is about guys. They basically have to make a currency by doing work. So they're producing electricity or something, and they get paid for it in currency, and they can use that for entertainment. And it is that, for example, they have the currency, right? And then they are
basically
forced
what they do is like they pedal like on bicycles. Basically, it's like
Yeah.
Some other people can do other things, but this is like a bicycle facility in which everyone lives. It's like a sort of like a big cage, let's say, right? So every you wake up, you go, and toothpaste costs, food costs, everything costs, entertainment costs, skipping ads costs, right? So you pedal, and you get like TV when you're pedaling, and you can get like your sort of avatar, and basically while you're pedaling, you're also playing a game or something like that, and you can customize your avatar, but that also costs credits, you know, and stuff like that. But there's also like a talent show, like Britain's Got Talent or whatever, that everyone is watching, and a ticket there, because you have to buy your ticket with credits, costs like 12 million or something ridiculous. So yeah, the guy inherits some money from his dead brother or something like that. He inherits his credits, all his credits that he made during his life, and he buys a girl that he sees singing in the bathroom. He buys like a ticket, just for kicks, you know. So that's almost all his money, by the way. And eventually, they try to take the girl into. I'm not actually not going to throw any spoilers, but they try to take the girl into porn because she's more. There's a guy in the jury that loves that is the owner of like a massive pornography company. So he tries to get her into porn, and the guy seeks out his revenge. So you'll have to watch the rest of the episode. It's called Black Mirror, in the first season. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean they all have quite interesting. I think the one where a woman loses her husband and she recreates a robot of him was also somewhat strange.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, it asks the questions whether you could recreate someone. What elements couldn't you recreate about a human being, just in theory? And it is just very interesting. Like what?
There was like that. I remember now that company that remade the human being, and you could talk to him, and eventually would give him a butt.
Yeah. At first, she was just talking. She just had the voice with him, and she. Surprisingly, when she had the voice with him, she enjoyed his company so much. She went to all those places with the voice, and I think also the voice or that virtual being could not only talk to her but also see what she was seeing. So
yeah, with the camera,
she was actually fine with her husband's death up to that point, and then she recreates the step 2, which also costs a lot of money, which would be the company's main benefit, right? And then it goes into like what would that person look like. It would look the same, it would do a lot of the same, but it would be almost perfect. Like it doesn't have those human imperfections. So it is a lot about what makes a human human. I thought that was quite nicely done, and has quite some room to discuss about it. So I think about every episode has a lot. Like there's like what the worst episode. What's the worst episode? I think we would all agree on that. There was the I forgot the title, but there's like one particular episode which is really horrible, which doesn't like do anything.
The last season kind of, I didn't quite like it a lot.
Okay.
The last season I thought it was actually pretty grim. The one with the dog robots that were like chasing people.
Yeah, exactly. The dog robots. Yeah. I meant exactly that one. The dog robots were
most of like season. So like don't watch season 4, guys. Just watch the first 3 seasons. Season 4 is pretty grim. It's like
Yeah.
All right, anyway, let's get back to this. So how did I get into poker? It was a pretty interesting story because I was actually on my way to becoming a professional basketball player at some point. Believe it or not, I was like a lot more athletic at some point. I still do like my fair share of swimming right now, but I can't really do much because my basketball career ended when someone tackled me. Basically, you know how they tackle at football?
Yeah.
You know, like they tackle like foot forward. Okay. So that thing just went into like straight into my knee, and my knee was like, it's fine. It's okay. So eventually I could like walk again, but I could never get to the same like basketball performances that I could. And I was like depressed for half a year, like 6 months. I went out like drinking nonstop every evening. I'd wake up in like the weirdest places. Like if I'd go like you know I know what's going through your mind right now, but mostly like friends' places or something like that. I wouldn't remember what happened for like the last few hours or something.
Okay.
And, I remember at some point waking up in, this is a weirder story, but I remember at some point waking up in the National Bank. I met a friend online. I met a girl online, and she had a friend, and I brought like my friend over. Okay, so I'm not going to go into like all the details, but at some point I was at 6 in the morning on the balcony of the National Bank, wearing only underwear. My back was written all over with lipstick as like a dare thing or something like that. I was smoking a cigarette, and I was looking at the people going to work. This was 6 in the morning. I hadn't slept. So
sounds like Hangover 3.
Yeah, exactly. So and this is the National Bank, dude. You understand? But it was like there are apartments in the National Bank in my city. There are like 3 apartments. One is like the owner of the principal of the bank, bank principal, and then below or like above, I don't remember right now. There was us, So at 6 in the morning, there was this balcony that's made like on like from like iron stuff, like only iron, It's no windows, no nothing. It's like go out from the balcony, you can fall. Like it's only iron. I was like sitting there, like smoking a cigarette, like I'm never gonna do that. I was looking at those people going at 6 in the morning at work, and I'm like, I could never do that. So I was like, dude, I gotta find something else. And at some point, it's a very, very, very cool story.
Yeah, I think a lot of us people have that background that they wanted to go into, professional sport or some sports of some sort. I think a lot of people ended up in poker. It was the same for me. I loved skiing back then. I also did a lot of swimming, but never really well. Was never too good. At skiing, I think I was fine.
But a few athletes into poker, by the way. Like some of my students were actually like either fitness trainers or athletes or something like that, and some of them turned out really, really well. But also like, okay, so basically what happened was on YouTube, like I didn't have a lot of money. The like background was like I started hating college because I went to like PC college because they had the best basketball team. It was like a launching ramp towards, but I never actually liked college, like PC college. IT, computer science, right? So what I did was like I didn't go like second year. I didn't go like at all at my classes. I told my parents like I'm fine, whatever. I'll go to classes, but I didn't go like 1 year. So this year, half of it I drank, half of it I partied, right? And the other half, I actually started getting my shit together. I played a lot of World of Warcraft though, so that was better than drinking though. It's okay, better for my health, But still, so what I did was at some point I saw on YouTube, I was watching like World Series of Poker or something, just for fun. At some point I saw Tom Dwan. I'm not kidding. I saw Tom Dwan saying that he deposited like $50 and he made like $1 million and he made millions. And then I was like, fuck it. If this guy can do it, I can do it too. And I was like, look, do you know how I got my first bankroll? You remember the poker strategy guys that would give you like $50 if you passed the test?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got that. And in the first evening, I had like 134. I had no idea of bankroll management, absolutely nothing. I deposited $50 at a table. I got up with like 134. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to double this up till I have like a lot of money and I'm going to do it. So eventually, the next day I joined like Nolman 200 with, and I remember the hand, I joined Nolman 200. So 1-2 tables with 100, my whole 134, and I lost it. But I didn't lose it like in a very, very bad way because I kind of figured out. I had King 9, the board was like Queen Jack 10, and the guy had Ace King, So it's like straight over straight. I had no chances to win, but I was like, dude, but he could have had like a lot of hands there. I mean, I kind of won, like I kind of lost, but it wasn't really that bad. So I figured I'm not that bad, because I figured that. So then, you know what I did? Poker Strategy would ask for like ID for the bankroll. Poker Strategy would ask for like ID. I was living in a dorm room. Yeah. So I had all these colleagues that had IDs. I told them all, if I win something, I'll give you 20%. They all gave me their IDs. I had one more bankroll, one more bankroll, one more bankroll. So eventually, I actually started reading their articles. Okay. actually started like reading their articles. Like, okay, you're supposed to open this. You're supposed to fold the ace jack offsuit versus UTG open or like whatever, you know. So like, king jack offsuit is like trouble hand. You're not supposed to call that because if you flop a jack, you're gonna be open. Okay, I understood. So I started playing and I started winning at normal 2. Like right off the bat, like full ring. I was playing party poker back then because it was like the biggest thing. And I started winning at normal 2, like 1 cent, 2 cent tables. And I was playing. I wasn't like great at it, but I started improving by playing. So that was good. So that was like my start.
Okay, Stefan in the chat asked, which year was that?
This was around, I'd have to say this was around 2009, 2010, around that.
Okay.
It was like the college year,
yeah.
But it was, I don't know if it was like semester 1, semester 2 or somewhere around that. Okay, so 2009, 2010, yes, almost 9 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a cool poker story. Like, especially the idea of, you can take everyone's ID and then try to make a bankroll.
It doesn't. I don't think it exists anymore.
Yeah, of course. It's pretty tough, I guess. And also at a later point, you could get into troubles for not being able to cash out if you cannot make it believe that it's you. I'm sure
I used it as like practice money, and it worked well. But then full tilt at some point just went down, and I lost my money, like everything that I had.
How much did you lose? Like ever?
I had like all my bankroll there. That was it. That was me. I lost 2 times in my life my bankroll. One time on full tilt, okay, and the other time I got scammed out of my bankroll because I was desperately looking for a place to live. So I posted it on a forum. So a guy was like very, very happy, but he kind of, with like all the stuff that made out, he kind of scammed me for my bankroll. But luckily, this is the coolest story. Luckily, a guy that like I asked for help, and a guy came in, and he was like, "Look, man, I see you play, and I think that you're doing okay. So I'm going to give you $100. I want only like 10%. Like I'm staking you. I want only 10% because you're like in a very, very bad period of time. But take this." Okay, and I will, and I think you can beat normal 10 on 888. So that was basically my start on 888, and at the end of the week, I had 500. So okay. I totally crushed those games. My first hand on 888 was me getting aces, 3-betting, someone 4-betting, me calling their 4-bet, and then they jammed with like 2 overcards on a flop, and I won that.
You seem to remember those career milestone hands pretty well.
Yes. It was pretty ridiculous. I remember this like clear as day. And he was like, "Okay, I'll like," because he was railing me, so he wanted to see how I play, right? And I was like, "Look, I 3-bet, like he 4-bet, I called his 4-bet with aces, check, and he was like shoves king queen into like low card board, and I called. He was like, "All right, I think you're gonna do good. Go." I was like, "Yes."
That's nice. How much later was it? That was 2011. Is that it?
Yeah, that was I don't remember. Look, I don't remember like the whole full tilt thing.
Yeah.
But that was like after the whole full tilt thing. I remember moving out of the dorm and moving with like a friend, and that friend ended up kicking me out of his apartment. So like right then I just really, really looked for a place to stay, and this guy scammed me out of my bankroll, which was actually moving money. Like a part of it was like moving money. So that was like, oh my God, I got myself into a very bad situation.
But the first loss of the bankroll you got back eventually from full tilt, right?
Yeah, but it was like after like so many years, it was like a bit insignificant, but still good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he didn't build like an insane amount on full tilt or something.
No. I think it was like 1K or something like that.
Okay, sure.
It meant a lot to me back then. If you can understand that back then, average salary in Romania, so that was like 3 average salaries in my country, you know?
Okay.
So me playing around between 16 and 24 tables of flooring Dolmet 2 back then, averaged around 500 per month. So I was getting like 2x the average salary for just playing the lowest limit in poker, which was
from your perspective. Do you think there's something that ruined poker a little bit? A lot of Eastern countries, they basically made more than average salaries playing online poker on the microstakes.
I don't think it ruined poker for a lot of people, because microstakes would like always be easy.
Okay.
I think they're like Norma 2 is just ridiculously easy. Norma 5 is just ridiculously easy. If you go up to like Norma 10, you have some players that might pull off some moves or might have like more correct ranges, I guess. But whomever wants to have some fun and play like real money games, I think it's fine. I think that's one of the things that look, like I'm a GG team member, but I'm actually not advertising right now. One of the things that they did really well was setting the lowest limit of being like 5 cent, 10 cent, only 10, because it's just ridiculously easy.
Always the lowest limit, yeah.
There's no 1 2 cent, there's no 2 5 cents, so that makes normal 10 easier, right? So that makes the regs going up worse to normal 25. They're worse, right? Because they have to beat easier games to go up. So then this makes the whole player pool easier.
Yeah, if you don't have the lowest stakes, that's true. Then you also don't have people like entering with less money. Like people cannot run it up from like $20 that easily. Like they need at least an amount like 50 or 100 maybe. Even though like 5-10 buy-ins is obviously
that's true.
So yeah, I mean that on the Microstakes, have you played still on stars a lot? Like how many tables do you think you could play on stars playing profitably on NL2 at the same time?
On NL2 at the same time? Are we talking Zoom or
no, not non-Zoom? Like how many tables at the same time?
I think full ring 24 still. I think 6 max I could play profitably at normal 2. 6 max I could play like 12 to 14.
Okay, yeah, because I think I can do 12 to 14, but I tried 20 recently and I broke even for like a K hands. Sure, it's not
I think it's too much. It's a very small sample. I still think you could definitely win. All right, so that's kind of like very 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 important, like who the player is. Like you could definitely win over like a long stretch, but I think you kind of get to time down hands, and that kind of sucks. So, like,
do you play with hotkeys always, or?
I'd never play with hotkeys.
Yeah, because that's really something that I would have needed for.
I have very good mouse precision because I've been like top 100 world in like a very well known FPS game. So I have very good mouse precision, so I just mouse it over.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Because I for 9max tables I couldn't really do it. Like I think even 9max 20, it's too much still. Like I'm not going to keep up with it. That's a bit of a problem. Like
I still think like 9max I can do like 24, but full tables, not like people leaving people like so like and normal 10 and over tables sometimes break because people are like bum hunting that they don't want to play rig versus rig like 25-50. But yeah, it's like 24 tables I can still do. I don't know, in like a few years though I might be too old. Who knows?
By the way, when you compare, how much have you played in live poker? When you compare online and live poker?
I've played a lot of cash in live. I've played tournaments that are like untracked, and I've played some tournaments that are tracked, but mostly I play like live cash, and it's just ridiculous. It's kind of like, how can I take this? People don't know. In live poker, people just go into the casino to like, I'm gonna go there and show them who's boss, and I'm gonna go there and like you know how live poker is. So like in Romania, there aren't really that many. I used to have to drive like 8 hours to get to like a decent live game, which sucks. But now there's like also a casino in my city, but it's not like I visited very rarely because I enjoy playing online a lot more. And the quality of the people that come to that club, they're either regs and they're really okay, or some people come drunk, or some people, it's like, I don't like live that much around here. I'm actually planning in going to Vegas next year in like the summer to grind. I don't know for sure yet if it's going to be next year or the other. Depends on how my challenge goes and how fast I can make the money for the apartment and then grind a bankroll for Vegas. But I'm really planning on doing that, like especially around WSOP. I might even play some events because the cash tables are going to be brimming with people that you want to play against.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like Vegas is a great place to play during the summer. As Constance says, it could become a great summer.
Exactly. Well, I'm not going to visit Bobby's room too soon, but no. 1, 2, 2, 5 are going to be very, very fun for me, I think.
Well, I personally just give you a tip. I wouldn't play 1, 2. And the reason for that is the rake is going to affect things much, much more than 2, 5. Like I've played some 1, 2 just for funs. Also this or last year. No, not this year. Last year I wasn't actually there. But I was just like the play is really slow. People really tank even in 1-2 games.
Yeah.
They have just a certain amount of personalities in there that you don't want to play, because they take the game actually very seriously. It's like, and then they just play super slowly, and it's for so little money, and they also bind for 100, so for 50 big blinds, and it's really silly because also the rake is 10% capped 5. So it doesn't make any sense to play small pots with those people. You just
10% cap 5. Okay, yeah, but they open for like 10 blinds, which is super
of course. But like every small pot is a loss, and then only when you take someone for stacks, when you see people with $200 on the table, then it's worth it. But you don't want to take like someone's $50, take someone's $60, because you're just gonna rake it away. And then I also remember it from the old days. I was there in 2012, and grinding 1-2 just doesn't make any sense. It's just so rake inefficient when you can at the same time play a game like 2-5, where the rake all of a sudden is super good. Like for example, in Caesars, even though the music is loud and you might arguably say it's not the best poker room from the environment.
I heard it's the best poker room from like a student of mine who just recently visited Caesars.
Yeah, it is actually the best poker room to grind rake efficient games, and sometimes it's also very soft in 2-5 games. Like I had a hand there, last year actually, where I grinded like 150 hours, and the biggest I was up like 4K or something in the end, and the most of it was in like a 2-5 game in Caesars, where I was also running really hot. The board comes like ace 3-3. I was actually playing no limit hold'em, and I had aces, so overfull, and one guy had a 3, and the other guy had an ace, and they somehow ended up bloating, punting in 200 to 300 big blinds each.
Yeah, and you were like, call, raise.
And I'm like,
call, raise.
Call. And I'm like, I'm just calling it, and I win like 2K in one hand. I'm like,
yeah, and you're like, thank you so much.
What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. What's going on? I don't understand. Like, I have a student of mine. This is actually a cool one. A student of mine, a former student of mine. I don't coach him anymore. He plays live in London, and he plays a 1-1 game. So the game is a 1-1, and there is an unlimited buy-in.
Okay.
And he's posting in my Discord some sort of like super ridiculous photos of like brags and stuff, you know? He's telling us like 1,600 big blind pots, and just people ridiculously try to bluff him and so on. And he lives from 1-1. He just lives from 1-1.
Well, the thing is, you know, in those games, they also in like Eastern Europe countries, sometimes they have those games, and those don't count in big blinds. You don't even think of it. It's like money. You think in money, like, you basically bet 10, you bet 50, bet 100. That's
and the rake is 5%. Sorry, the rake is 5% and capped. So it's cool.
And then it doesn't. The rake at some point also doesn't matter anymore. But it really matters in Vegas. I would definitely advise against 1-2, because it just sucks. You're also gonna, the games is often way too nitty. Like some games are really nitty in 1-2.
Really? I wouldn't expect that. Yeah.
Like I played 100 hours back in 2012, and even back then they were nitty. And so you really want to table select a lot in Vegas as well, because you can go to any table. So why would you play a nitty table? And also Stefan says 2-5 in the win is nice because of the 1,500 max line. I like the win as well. The win has probably an average, the better poker players and some other poker rooms. The area in particular has a lot of PLO games. And even then, like comparing like a 2 years gap between the PLO games, when you play the lowest limit, which is 1-2-5, people have realized that in that 1-2 game, the bring-in is 5. It's like a weird structure. But in that game, people used to be much too loose. Now there's a lot of older regulars in there who probably are winning players, and they're probably going to make $20 an hour, maybe 30. So they realize that they just have to knit it up. So they're just going to wait for aces in PLO, and they're going to be super unprofitable for you to play. So you're going to have to spot games where there's no more than 2 or 3 of those people if you want a reasonable hourly in those PLO games. And that was not the case like some years ago, where people just, they just played anything.
Call.
And now, actually, this year I played some 1-2-5. It's 500 deep. It's not a bad game. You make like 50 an hour. Also, the higher game, I played 1 to 5 and 5-10 with a rock or something, and 2-5. So there's like 3 limits. They're all a little bit similar. Some play higher, and all of them are very good. And also the 10-20 games can be really good if you want to play a little bit higher. But you also have swings for like 20-30K in no time.
Yeah, so you have to bring the money from home.
Yeah, and I think like Bitcoin can facilitate a little bit, but like bringing the money to places is sometimes not so nice. I don't know, for live poker, I think that's a big disadvantage. You have to have money in different currencies and bring it, basically.
Absolutely.
But, so all in all, your answer is like you love online poker because it's very simple. You don't have to travel to places, and you don't like the clientele of certain.
And it fits my streaming schedule. I probably couldn't stream from like live games a lot, but yeah, I like online also because of sometimes live poker can be a bit bad from like BO and bad manners from like other players and body odor and stuff like that. Like you don't want to just be stuck 7 hours near a guy who lost his shower license or something like that. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Night Moses, I was just joined the stream. Hi, who is this guy? Are you talking about me or Scrimitzu?
Who is these guys? Who is these guys?
Well, you can basically get back to the start of this podcast, but to basically get an introduction. But now we're basically getting into Twitch streaming. You're saying you're all playing online poker, and also it's for streaming. Yes, like what does streaming mean for you?
Streaming is basically my job. It got me like connected to a lot of people before I started learning about like, I don't know, like different like poker sites because before I didn't have like a lot of knowledge. I didn't have like, it got me connected to a lot of people that I met that eventually got me to be team GG, so that was really, really cool. But also is like a place for me, like Twitch is a place for me for untangling my brain, because sometimes you get a session and it's a very, very bad poker session. Sometimes you just drop buy-ins, and you're on Twitch and you're supposed to be continuing that. I never leave a session because I'm running bad. Like that's like never. I never like. I'm talking about Twitch, right? And it forced me to maintain my mental game like clean. Because I'm talking to people, they're talking to me. They're like, "Oh no, that was such a bad beat." They're like, "Yeah, right." It kind of gives me the mental clearance to like move forward, even when like the darkest of times.
Yeah, we seem to be different in that regard, because for me, I also don't quit when I run bad, but I'm gonna start cursing, and the Twitch chat is not helping. Like running bad in front of an audience for me is 10 times worse. Like when I played my Microstakes challenge, so we did a little bit the similar stuff. Like I played 10,000 hands on one day on like PokerStars PLO, and I break even for 10,000 hands in PLO. I'm gonna rage. Like this is I cannot take it. I simply can't take it. And that is clear. Like I'm gonna rake 15 binds or something ridiculous on 10,000 hands. First of all, that pisses me off so much because the rake is so high. And then the second thing is, that I'm also running poor in some sense against people who are playing 90% VPIP and have no idea what they're doing.
Yep. I know the feeling.
And it's more horrible in front of Twitch chat for sure. And I just can't.
Sometimes I call people idiots. Sometimes I call people names. But like it starts being funny after a while. Like it's the spots are so ridiculous that I just laugh them off. Like it's so fucking hilarious to me at some point. And it's so improbable. Like I'm like, okay, this is such bad luck that I'm just supposed to go and put like a lotto ticket in. I have days where I run consistently into aces and kings and MTTs, and it's ridiculous. It's so much. Like it's too much, man. Stop it. Like I was like, but then at some point it just turns around and you get so lucky in a tournament. You win with 5s versus 9s. You win with 7s versus aces. You win, and you just win that tournament. You're like, hey, I ran that bad for like such a long time, so I could win this. And I started understanding that. In cash and MTTs too, because you have stretches of cash where you just sun run. It's ridiculous. Like
of course. The thing though is that in cash games you're still supposed, especially when you have a high edge against your opponents. Sure, you cannot know for sure because you're raking 15 big blinds per 100. How much edge is there still left? Is it 10 big blinds per 100? Is it should be right even on the lowest limit, even though Rake is so high.
Rake is 15 per 100 in PLO.
Yeah, like PLO, the Rake is
mid 5, right? Or something like that.
10.
Mid 10, that's ridiculous. That's so much. I want to puke.
It's absolutely insanity. So yeah, it wants to make me puke because, you see, I had really decent results at 50 cents a dollar and even $1, $2 on stars. And I go down to 5 cent, 10 cent, and we have 10K break-even stretches. And the thing is, not in the green line. I don't even care about how much I'm winning or losing. I care about the EV line. Like the EV line should just go up. Like I should
it's like
getting the money. Yeah, it should just skyrocket because I'm supposed to get the money in well against those people. And then I don't for 10,000 hands. Like how are people supposed to believe me? So
that's why I wanted at some point to start like I still have the idea. I want to start a Kickstarter for a poker site that takes 1 blind per 100 for like everything and just runs itself,
Yeah, I mean it might be obviously awesome. It's a bit I don't know if it's gonna be an illusion because I hope that Run It Once Poker does like something not and 1 big once 100, but does something reasonable because Phil Galfond, he understands PLO. He understands.
He understands everything. I mean,
he understands Rake in PLO should be half of Hold'em. That is very clear. Like the even Rake at half.
Yeah, I understand. And it's like double. And it's like double or triple on stars. It's ridiculous because Rake in like mid 10 is like 6 blind per 100 or something around that.
Lockyer says, he might not understand the difference between like running bad and playing bad, and that's really there's a thin line. Like you have to be self-aware and say, okay, do you make plays that are really so horrible? And you should do that after the session when you have a clear mind. I think.
Well, we're talking cash entries too.
Yeah, both. But how do you do that? Like, how do you know that you're not playing bad?
I check, like, my mental game is very clear for me at some point. Like, my strategy is very clear. Like, even post-flop, I know I have some guidelines that I'm supposed to, like, respect, right?
Yeah.
But if at some point, like, I don't really rage. That's one of my things. I don't rage. I might, like, maybe I curse, but I kind of release that energy, like, almost immediately. It just leaves me, When I rage, I sometimes just laugh it off with my chat. I was like, I have my head like I'm like at some point like what the fuck, and it just leaves me. That rage energy leaves me. I keep sticking to my strategy.
Okay,
like,
it's just
it's how you see it like from the outside. If you see like poker as like one long marathon of hands and not like sessions and stuff like that, then eventually you'll get to learn that this session will mean very, very low. This losing session will have very low importance. I think I won that at some point where I got crushed in 10 minutes for 7 buy-ins, and it was ridiculous. And this is Hold'em, okay? It's not Omaha. In Omaha, it's possible, right? In Hold'em, it's impossible. I got crushed for 7 buy-ins in 10 minutes, and I was like almost about to cry, like, what the fuck is happening? This is impossible. But I realized that I played well my hands, and I knew at that point that was at like a crossroad. Am I gonna take the weak line and just cry and just leave the session, or am I gonna stay emotionally solid and keep grinding and grind the money back and just keep continuing playing my best game and I decided I would grind until, like, no matter how bad I run, I would grind until I made the money back, and after 3 hours I was break even.
Okay, that sounds really reasonable if you get there after 3 hours. It's just I think always of it this way. It's an exhaustible resource, right? If you play, I can take it for like 2,000-3,000 hands, run bad, but then at some point, like at 10,000 hands, it gets just painful. And,
I agree. 10,000 is just like
it's already a lot of hands, and I played it during one day. I played 12 tables, and on every table,
I've had a student who would play 300K hands a month.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's playing Nolman 200 right now, Zoom, and he's crushing it.
Yeah.
But he started playing like 300K hands at like Nolman 2 and Nolman 5. Imagine how much rake is that, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also there. Like, rake back grinding is a thing, and I think a lot of people with like VIP grinders and affiliates like that, they just did the rake back grinding. I also think, though, that this is actually single-handedly one of the worst things that could have happened to poker. Like, affiliating, sure, brought some people in, but what it also brought in is these rake-back grinding systems and sites paying so much more for rake-back grinders. It created some action for sure, but it also drained so much money to people actually no business with playing poker, and they just were like affiliates in general. Sure, they brought some new people in here and there, but what they did, they basically just took people from one side, put them to the other, made money with it, and money was drained out of the poker economy. It's just super stupid.
Exactly, it's just bad. Yeah.
I somehow wish that there was a rule that poker sites didn't pay people money to get people off each other's sites, so that people would, because there's so much money wasted there. It's like if nobody did it, then there wouldn't be so much money drained. But because everyone's doing it, people just gonna fluctuate between poker sites, and it's gonna cost so much money. It's unbelievable. So much.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's a complete bullshit. But let's get back to like poker content a little bit. What are your reasons to create poker content on Twitch? Like, what is the motivation behind it? Next to, you're playing anyway, but why don't you just play more off stream? Try to move up in stakes. Try to do that all by yourself.
Affiliation. I'm kidding.
You got me one more.
I'm part of the problem. No, anyways, my best reason to make content on Twitch is basically the community that I've created around my channel, because I have some people who are waiting to watch me like every day. Like I have people returning like every day to my channel. I don't know if they have a life. I have no idea. Sorry. I'm kidding. But they just like every day they come to my channel. They're like, hi, I like, you're not live today. Why are you not live today? I was waiting to watch your channel. I was like, whatever, and it got me in connection with like a lot of poker streamers, yourself included, which I enjoy. And like, it benefits my sessions. It actually benefits my sessions because it keeps me like rage free. It keeps me like tilt free. Twitch has like a therapeutic effect on me, And one more thing is that I've actually advanced, like, since how I got like my 500 students is basically I started coaching. I coached a few students and I took those recordings and I played them on my poker channel, and then more people came and I had more recordings and I played them on my poker channel and more people came until I got to like 500. And I was like, enough, like I can't do this anymore. Just kidding. But I did have to like raise prices and stuff because people were just like coming in. I was like, there was no more room in my living room, so I was like, okay, we got to stop. But basically, I started with Twitch. I just got used to it. I got accustomed to it. I'm loving it. I met like so many streamers that are not like non-poker, and they're very fun. I also have like a background in gaming for like a long time. So I love Twitch. I love being a part of it. And when like November last year when I got partnered was like one of the best things for me because I could get like emotes. I could get like all the memes like and stuff like that, So.
Awesome. Yeah.
So basically creating it, I think it does help my game up. I think it does help my game up because it motivated me because I wanted more final tables. I wanted more like better cash game results. So I started like studying more because of Twitch.
Okay. Like for me, it does in that sense, it does a little bit the opposite. I like the poker content creation side because of creating content of basically making content for people that they can watch, that they can improve on, that it helps them. But it's actually doesn't feel like it does too much for me, at least. I tilt probably more in the sense of a rage more on Twitch. I seem to run worse when I play. I don't think I play worse. It's just in the sample that I played on Twitch, it just hasn't gone too well, except for like one day that was 2 years ago in the Sunday Million. But that was a great day. But then
5th place, right?
Yeah, 5th place. Yeah, but then after that, it's just been horrible on Twitch.
How many viewers did you have for like Sunday Million final table?
Like 2,000 or something.
That
was a great day. But then after that, I seem to not like I had some sun run days, but they were really rare. Like I went on Twitch a lot of times, and I just didn't like all those off stream good runs. They were not. They were just never on Twitch. It's just sick. Who needs a live when you can watch Twitch all the time?
Exactly. Watching Twitch is life.
Yeah. So
this is CMLD CLG. This is IRL friend.
Okay, cool.
IRL friend, actually. Yeah, one of my most often viewers is like a IRL friend of mine. We actually two days ago we went and had like a shisha.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure enough. Those bars, shisha bars, okay.
Yeah, we have that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I actually, also saw stream Twitch because, as you say, like there's a community that is always joining my channel, and I still want to, occasionally stream. I don't stream like super often these days, but I try to produce more content for people to learn from me in regards of poker. Because at this point, like I've been in poker in the industry for almost a decade, and I've learned so much studying off stream. And as I said before, I have more time for studying if I don't stream as often. And that's also what Doug Polk was saying a lot of the times, that he thought that you cannot do both. You cannot be a content creator and
I know this, and I'm trying to prove him wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult because I know what he means. Like he means like really at the highest limits.
Look, I know what it means too.
Yeah.
I know what it means too, because you get people to watch your game,
Yeah,
and then they pick up stuff from you, and then they know what you do, and then it's hard.
Against them, it's certainly more difficult. I also
Adam stopped streaming. You know Adam? Adam 001.
No.
Null mid 500 Zoom grinder.
Okay.
Crusher of the game, live 2550 player, but Zoom 500 grinder, around 4 blinds per 100, somewhere around that.
Okay.
He crushed the game, but eventually he stopped streaming because he said that the edge got so smaller since he started streaming because all the Zoom 500 breaks started watching him, and he dropped down to like two blinds per 100. So
okay.
Edge is getting smaller and smaller. He doesn't want it smaller.
But for a guy like him, I can also see that's totally happening. Like those NL 500 guys, they would never say anything in Twitch. They would just watch and take notes of leaks. And there, I absolutely think it's going to reduce your edge. Also think that at Zoom...
Do you think this is correct for tournaments too?
Much less.
A lot less, right?
Yeah, when you have a final table, though, then it's different. Like if you're playing someone heads up and he sees your cards, it's just stupid. Like true. If your heads up opponent sees what you're doing, he's gonna get like an insane edge on you because also of the dynamics and everything. Like that's really silly. Like it's definitely costing you some edge. And if you have like a Sunday Million deep run and if you're streaming that's costing you a lot of money. I would say like a Sunday Million final table costs you potentially definitely 4 digits, but something like 5K. Like,
let's say that. But if that gets you to like top of Twitch and you get to
of course,
that might be balancing a little bit. But
it might also just give you that one day because if you want to win on Twitch, I think Lex Veldas is basically winning on it, and then you just have to have the consistency. Like one day won't do it. Like I can say it from personal experience. Like that one day has helped me a lot at the beginning, but then running bad for like 6 months in tournaments, people have just like, oh, now he's not winning anymore, but like whatever. Like, but the thing is, the 2 years after the Sunday Million run, my win rate increased by almost 100%. Like in my Hold'em manager, my win rate was doing really, really well. And I showed it to people, but like, who gives a shit? Like people just want to see you win dollars.
Of course, final tables.
Final tables, and dollars. And if you play mass fields and you're doing really well because you've studied hard and but then you don't reach final tables anymore, people won't believe you, even though you're really doing well. And that's also made me quit tournaments because I wanted to have a more rewarding poker game. And PLO is definitely there. Like I've improved so much over the last year, and now I can also see that in the win rates they're definitely increasing. And even though Rake is higher than in tournaments, it definitely is. If I get like maybe on the right sides, like with my current knowledge and the live poker high stakes games, if I get like the bankroll ready for that, I have basically a promising future in the poker regards if I want to, right? And
while we're at the subject, I wanted to ask you something. First of all, how much do you think can be made per year right now in PLO, and how much do you think can be made per year in 5 years from now?
I think it's
very approximate by like a decent player.
By decent player, 100 to 200K. Yeah.
And by decent player, do you mean yourself, or do you mean not like online?
Yeah, like online a bit less. By me, like I'm not making 100 to 200K online, so it would be better. I think I could maybe get to 100 if I play
like a lot of hours, right?
Yeah, a lot of hours, and game selection. Game selection is big. Like I play on stars, it doesn't make too much sense. Like there's not many people on stars who make 100K. I think you can count them really well, and because the games are also not running that high, and like the sickest grinders. Like I think one of the coaches on Jane Anders Poker, now I just forgot the name. He's all playing like 2 million hands on Zoom 500 like a year. He's really a crazy grinder. And so yeah, no, Anatoly, no. What was
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
Anatoly Filatov is
no,
like
not
NL Prophet, no?
But Jesus, why do I forget? Schuler out. Schuler out is playing like 2 million hands, and I guess like he's winning a lot with the grinding. But there's obviously a lot of other people that are making more. But yeah, you have to put in either that grind, or you have to play like all the 25-50, the 10-20, and those people will win a lot. But then the people who win, more consistently than that, they're going to play on other sites. They're going to play in private games online.
True.
They're going to make a lot of money. So maybe I could make that amount there.
Like IDM, Poker Master, stuff like that.
Yeah, Poker Master, PvP Poker, and some private sites that are up there that are playing really high stakes. And you can get like there's some people that make their own poker sites. They're going to have a rake back cut. And I think like some affiliates and people bringing on people on sites is going to make you a lot more money than just playing in itself. The best would be you do a bit of everything and you just have those passive income streams from everywhere. But in live poker, I think 100 to 200K if you're a decent player, but then you have to grind. 2,000 hours is times $50 an hour is 100K. That's like the way I calculate it. And if you make 100 an hour, then it's going to be 200K. So, but you have to play that much, and you have to be traveling. Your expenses will be high.
Of course.
So this is how you
especially like lodging.
Yeah,
lodging tends to cost a lot. Yeah.
So now that we're talking about money, like what do you need the money for? Like for me, I can just quickly get that up front before I ask you. But for me, the money signifies like one thing. I want to have the money not to buy cars and houses. I don't need much. I'm non-materialistic. I just need the money to invest in myself so that I can become a better person. That can, if there's like, we talked a bit before the podcast here about it. And if there's like 4 people in the world that I can hire for like 5K, and only one of them brings me further to a point where I need to go in the future as a person, maybe even outside of poker, I want to be able to afford that guy. Like I want to be able to pay the guy. And that's why I need the money from poker. And I have to also make that point stronger so I have more motivation to make the money, because right now I have everything that I need. Like exactly. I don't need more than a bed and something to eat and like my office and everything. That's all. I have like a simple car. I might not even need that car, right? What is it for you? What does the money do?
So money obviously helps. I'm not gonna lie, money obviously helps. But generally for me, it's like financial safety, first of all. So it's like first of all, I think it's like a very, very common notion of worrying about like tomorrow, for like people who actually work on like a salary and stuff like that. But one of the things that I really, really want to is like at some point, I have a plan. Like for now, I'm doing a challenge for like an apartment, right? You probably know about that. I'm doing like a $50,000, and with some other economies, some other savings, I could probably buy like a decent 4-room apartment, like 100 square feet or something like that at least, and like modern. But what I do want is like a house that will have like a sort of a basement, and we'll have like a pool table there and some sort of arcade like consoles, because my passion is like gaming. My passion is also anime, so I want like a anime/manga collection at some point. But these are all like material things. But I think what money provides, first of all, is like financial safety. Like if something happens, if shit hits the fan, if you have like a medical problem, or if you have something to back you up, and I think that's massively important. That was like one of the other things that like maybe take poker very, very seriously, is the fact that you can make 4 times, 6 times, 10 times the like average salary in your native country, and that's massive. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it brings entertainment, it brings safety, and to me, it also brings a measure of being good at what I do. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you can measure a poker player's by big blind per 100 hands, but in the end, those big blinds are actually real money, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so that's basically what it does to me. And also, I like to invest my money in experiences a lot. So I like to invest my money in like, for example, like traveling, let's say, or new things that you can experience, if you can understand, new foods, new stuff. Like for example, It's a very simple thing. I went today to the shop. This is literally today, and it's the first day I see. It might sound like a surprise for some people, but it's the first thing that I see is the first time in my life that I see beef jerky. You know what beef jerky is?
That's that thing. Yeah. I know what it is.
It's the first time in my life that I've actually ever seen it. And maybe if I was like on a budget, I couldn't get it, but I got it. So yeah.
Okay.
So invest in the experience, like no matter how small like they are, I still invest in like experiences, getting to feel things, getting to know new things. I invest a lot in books actually. And yeah, I also built my Steam library. I have almost 1,000 games. So yeah, that's been taking like a lot of my poker winnings either way. But yeah, mostly like experiences, financial safety is very, very important, and it lets me pursue my hobbies, my other hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like you have free time, or also never having to work for someone specific. For me, it was the opposite. Like here, the average salary is pretty high. I also have a teaching degree, so my salary was 100,000 to 120,000 in 20 years, and maybe with inflation, obviously, would have gone up at some point, I guess. But
yeah, you wanted to be free, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing, and sure, I could go back to teaching. I actually liked, obviously, a part of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have finished it. But also, I disliked a little bit about it, like the system and everything. But I don't want to go too much into depth because I sometimes talk about it in other venues about teaching. But yeah, I do now also coach within poker. So I have that element as well. I want to teach people in poker. It's also, yeah, teach them. And people mostly come to me because they want to learn. And that's also what I wanted. Like I want to teach people that want to learn from me. I want to teach people just because they have to. And in school, it's really they have to be there. Sure, you can try your best to your abilities that they feel that they don't have to come to school or to class. Like you can achieve that with some people in your class, but never with everyone. And I think the negativity that comes from like some of them is dragging me down a little bit. But yeah, it's a long story. Anyway, now, yeah, within poker, I think I have all in my hands. It's all on me. And I enjoy that as well. Like it's really just on me. Like
exactly.
It's not if I'm, yeah.
Your competence will breed your financial results.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
It's huge. And that's really what also, if I have to debate between poker and obviously streaming, et cetera, and all that social media game, like, yeah, poker obviously is going to be even more directly rewarding in that sense. And that's why always it will stay probably an element of mine, because it's very, very linear. If I suck, I don't make money at something, or, I don't game select or whatever, I might just, pay too much rate. Well, then it's on myself to get into another game where I can make it better hourly. But yeah, if I become better, then I can get anywhere in poker. That's really the beauty of it. And I hope that people are not stopping that poker dream, because I think that it's not only a poker dream to make a lot of money with like $50 or so. It's also the poker dream that, yeah, it's just you against everyone.
Against the world, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a pretty cool thing. That's also what an athlete, in my opinion, is doing. Sure, he has his team behind him. He might have, people helping him out, and he might be dependent on them. But in the end, the athlete still has to compete against other people. And if
that have similar teams.
That have similar teams, yeah, and if sure. In the end, it really comes down to, well, do you have what it takes? And that's so enjoyable about poker, because I hope that's not going to change, because like let's say everyone in poker, like the whole industry, raised the rake by 30 to 40%, poker will be dying. That's single-handedly the one thing that
maybe I think that a lot of regs would give up. but
let's not get into more rake is better here, guys. More rake is not better.
It's not better. I just think it would still be sustainable, but by very, very small amounts of people not be making close to whatever they make.
In no limit probably, and in other mixed games, but not in PLO. Like in PLO,
you can't raise the rake in PLO. It's impossible.
No, it's really here or here, wherever you want to take it. Like in PLO, you cannot raise the fucking rake anymore. It's just way too high. Like I say that to all the people. Some people have called me crazy on that why would you think so much about the rake? Like, because it is the fucking
Because
deal
it's
in PLO.
money that's taken from you, yeah.
Like when I see that I win X amount, and then I see the rake and it's like 5 times as much, and I see that the beasts in PLO, they win this much and the rake is this much. Like the best players, they don't win more than they rake. Like they win maybe slightly more than they rake, and that's alarming. And if they get no rake back, that's ridiculous. Like, why would the best player rake almost the same amount as he makes? Like the best. What does that mean for all the other people that want to win? It means
the limit is not beatable, and that you can't do that, and you should move to live games probably.
Yeah, where also, you might fear that at some point people will raise the rake, but also, quite in the history, they learned that like they're also very close to maximizing the rake already, because they realized like, games were dying out in live poker too, because they made it too much. Like they have killed some games in live poker because they just had too big of a rake. Also in private games, so many private games were probably killed the last years because of rake. So they have to make it sustainable. They have to obviously have the net depositors in there that always come for an enjoyable experience. And that's obviously where we as poker players can do a lot. We can make the experience better for people in poker. And that's also something that I think,
we can make our own games.
Yeah, our own games. Rake them.
Our own casino. Rake it.
Rake it. So
how would it feel for you to be on the other side?
I don't know.
What would be your let's say tomorrow you inherit PokerStars for some reason, or a Maya or whatever, you're like, what rake would you set for the PLO tables? That's
2.5%. Insta 2.5%.
For like all of them, or just the low ones and then higher ones would be lower?
I would probably go like to it's like you can change it with the cap, right? Like the lower ones, I would definitely do 2.5% because they're ridiculous, and I would leave maybe the cap a little bit higher, right? But 2.5% is really easily beatable.
Do you know that Unibet does something like this? Unibet has like Nullmid 4 and they rake it for 1%, and Nullmid 10 they rake it for like 3%, and then the other is like higher.
Yeah, I like that very much. Like the entry level Unibet is super good. Like I would no doubt about it. But then when I look at like the higher limits, they have like high rake there too. Like Unibet NL400 is high rake. Because I've played there a little bit as well in the past, and I don't.
But they do have that cool thing where if you rake like 1 million points, you get like a package for their tournament. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like some added bonus, but it takes also a while, and I don't like a softer particularly a lot. Like I really.
Oh yeah. They ruined it. It was good before.
I love PokerStars for their software. I cannot say anything else. By the way, it's really funny when I say like I love PokerStars. Like somebody could clip that.
Somebody clip that.
PokerStars fanboy. Like, and then at the same time, I say like fuck them.
I'll just clip like the I love PokerStars, and when you say more rake is better, and just add that.
More rake is better.
Exactly. Just make a meme of it.
Exactly. Even though I like so much talking shit about them for like being the rake guys, and like, I don't love PokerStars for what they're doing. Like I would immediately do something different. Sure, I would not make the most money if I was the head of PokerStars. Absolutely. Like business wise, I would not go. I would have gone out. Yeah, on the.
You'd probably go for like maximizing profit. No, honestly, you'd probably go for like maximizing profit and field over like a long run, but they're just trying like annually, and that's the problem.
I'm not even sure if my approach will be maximizing profit, because I love poker. Like I wouldn't go on the stock market with like a board of directors and try to make them so much money, right? Like that. I don't give a shit about like some rich people like having hundreds of millions and now trying to make a buck more, or like a couple of millions more there. Like,
imagine your first day going into the office, like the owner of PokerStars going into the board of directors, wearing wearing your like hoodie and like sweatpants and something, and like your Air Jordans or something, going in, and they're like, I don't fucking care about you rich people. I love poker.
I mean, of course, like those investors, and they obviously also bring more money. Like they are there for a reason, right? So they're probably necessary in some end, especially short term, and you think about a year. But at the same time, I think the players would be much more powerful, and that's where I think Amaya and everyone went wrong. I think that the community, even the online community, if done right, if done with Twitch, it could be much more powerful than any board of directors with any money and what they do. Like word of mouth and how great poker is as a game can go a long way. Even though there's like nations like the US, Australia that got out of poker because of politics.
Yeah.
But I think if people spread the word about poker being beatable even for let's say 20% of people, like that's reasonable, right?
Yep.
Like 80%,
not 5%, yeah.
Not 5%, like 80% losing players, 20% winning players. It has been like that, I think, back like 7 years ago. I think 20% of them were winning.
70 years ago.
No, yeah, like
70 years ago.
Okay, no, like 2010, 2012. I think like 20% of people were winning. Like some people were winning like some dollars, right? Like some
but still winning players. Still like they didn't lose money.
So that is Pareto principle, like 80-20. Like I think that's really achievable long term as well. And why not? Like some people, like I knew some people that were like 50 or 55 and they play like satellites and they were making money on PokerStars. They didn't even have that great of a strategy. They were just having some common sense and they just played a little bit of poker and they were making a buck here and there. And then they also spread really good words about poker. And it's really like that. And these days everyone's like, oh fuck PokerStars. Like I know so many recreationals who
Joker stars.
It's like Joker stars and it's rigged and like no, it's not rigged. The rake is just too high. And that's just what it is. And sure, there's now a lot of net depositors coming from like third world countries, but that will be over at some point. Like now there's like people flooded into PokerStars from marketing, but they're not endless. We have to see that. Like at some point, we're going to be exactly with the same net depositors as before. Like now we probably have more, but we also have much more rake and less rake back. So
I think that at some point they will have to lower rake. It will be like their last measure.
Yeah, probably.
They're just going to let the floodgates in.
Yeah, probably that there are some more people again. But they will do, like, they just underestimate the word of mouth. Like, poker would not be a dying game if people celebrated it more as a great game. But like even I don't celebrate poker as much because like here on the podcast I can because we're talking about poker. But when I'm playing, I get so toxic about the game because it has become toxic from the other side. Like they have made an environment for me in PLO that I know how good I am at PLO. Like I'm not one of the best, but I know what work I put into it.
You kind of figure out the game and you figure out where you're at vis-a-vis other people. That's really important.
I actually have not figured out the game like close to anywhere. Like maybe I've done 10%.
No, I mean you understand the game and you understand how good you are in relation to other people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you know where you're at.
Exactly. And you know, I have worked so much with solvers and I've like when it comes to the pre-flop game and you know, I see the opponents don't do that. And you can see really mistake after mistake and mistake, and it doesn't get punished because of the rake. Like the money just gets washed away. And because I know for how, like, I would say before the last 12 months, I haven't even worked hard for poker, and I made a lot of money. Like a lot of money. It's all relative. I made a little bit over 100K before the last 12 months, and now I probably made less in that 1 year. But I got so much better because I worked so hard in the game. But like now I did really hard work. I worked hard, I would say. And it felt like hard work. It felt less rewarding than it used to. Like 2013, I was playing poker. I was playing tournaments on full tilt and PokerStars. I was clicking buttons. I played like 12, 14 tables. My strategy sucked. It just was terrible. But it was much better than some other people.
And everyone else, most the player pool. Yeah.
And now I work so hard and still it's not paying me off so much because of the environment. So that makes me toxic because I see, you know, that means it's because of, you know, you maybe know this as well when you do so much and you get nothing in return from the game because of the environment, it makes you toxic because you invest so much, but you don't get the rewards. Like the dopamine doesn't get released and everything like that, right? So that will have a very, very toxic relationship, like between the input and the output. Like, so you don't get as much as you think you deserve. You get that entitlement issue and everything. So maybe I've thought about that a little bit, but Yeah, that's how I view poker. And so I have to get even better. Like I'm even trying myself, okay, now you know there are better people out there, so that you try to get to their level. You say, okay, and that's all I can do because, but I'm certainly going to be toxic because of the environment. And I wish it wasn't that way. And I knew it wouldn't have been that way if everything stayed the same as 2013. It could have even been better. Like you can make the poker experience so much better for recreationals. Like the Bahamas is an example, the 25K.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about, I mean, what do you think about the event? So that I don't talk too much.
About the PSPC, you mean? Or
yeah.
I think it's a very, very cool idea. And it could be made like, generally it could be made like way better by maybe not making most of these tournaments an all-in shootout, right? Because like most of these tournaments are like you're feeling like self-conscious about talking so much right now, so you're not talking like at all. It's all right. It's all right. I think like it's a very, very good idea for like a vacation for someone, and also get to play a poker tournament, and you get to get like pocket money and stuff like that, and travel expenses covers, like everything is yours, right? But I'd make it maybe not all in or all in tournaments for like deciding like PokerStars Caribbean Adventure, right? That's what it stands for, PSPC, right? But either way, like I think it's like a good idea, but it could probably be done like way better by just maybe putting some people who have a bit more connection to poker in there.
Yes,
I guess.
I absolutely agree. Like, but like, I try to differentiate a little bit. So here's the thing. First of all, they're going to bring like 300 people on there. Why not make it a freaking 1,000? Like, why not make it really, really big for people? And there's no reason to it. There's just no reason. Maybe they think, okay, for 1,000 people, well, they need 100 tables for 1,000 people. It's not like they can't do it. Like, I'm sure there will be pros buying in, but they could literally bring, like, if they brought 1,000 people, there would be at least 500 pros joining that event. I would say. Because if like 500 pros, oh well, there's going to be 1,000 recreational players in there, then they're going to play, and it's going to be a good mix, right? Anyway, and it's going to be a great experience. And I think it's also a responsibility of pros, or like that they make the experience for the recreational better. And if you've ever played with me on a live table, sometimes I've been maybe an ass, but most of the time I've been really nice, and I've been talking to everyone that wanted to talk to me and was actually a genuine human being. And at the live tables, they can talk with me about anything. I would say rather outside of poker than within poker, because I don't want to talk poker strategy at the table necessarily. Right?
No, of course not. But absolutely true. And most poker pros will be friendly.
Yeah, I think so.
People a good time.
I think
it's do that all the time.
It's totally wrong. Like, oh, sure, there's some pros that just make living with poker that they don't. I
think this is one of Daniel's actual like most like biggest things that got him into like a sponsored contract and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like he was very, very good for televised poker. Like Daniel was amazing. Like at talking through hands in his head and hand reading out loud, you know, instead of calling people on their cards and their moves, and being actually really fun and like busting people's balls like all the time, you know, like you did that. I knew you did that. And it was good. He was really, really good at that. And that's how he got like a big name.
Absolutely. Daniel Negreanu did an awesome job as an ambassador of poker until he fucked up with more Rake is better. But then, so that's the first thing. 1,000 people on there, 1,000 recreationals and professionals, like whoever, and also maybe like half, like 500 people who got lucky to get in there.
I think you could do that with like lowering. They could definitely fund that with like lowering the buy-in. I think the buy-in is like too high.
Yeah, they could make it like 10K to like instead of 25K. It would have been.
I mean, the main event of WSOP is 10K. You can't make this a 10K and then.
They wanted to make it bigger in the amount, and also they wanted to make it to just insanely big, like 10 million, right? And they said, how can we get to 10 million? Well, let's take a 25K. But yeah, even for 25K, like multiply that times 1,000. 25 times 1,000 is 25 million. Like how much money is that for poker? It's not that much, and it's not like they're not gonna get anything back from that. So they don't even have to. Like a lot of those packages, of those 1,000 packages, they can make like 500 for people who got lucky, like all-in shootouts, hyper turbos, and whatever. That's more luck-based. But then it could also make 500 people who in quotes deserve it, who have to work for it. And
those would be the supernova elites.
Those would be some supernova elites who grind their shit and just get there because they grind it so much. Some of them, just won like certain tournaments that had a really flat structures. They could make it for mixed games. They could make it for PLO. They, like for any single poker game, they could make like a bigger challenge. Like they do a lot of challenges with those different streamers, and I appreciate it. And I was in one of them. I was actually in the final 36 of Xflix and the Poker Bros Platinum Plus adventure. But that was a turbo event. That was really disappointing, I have to say. Like the tournament lasted 2 hours. I played with 36 guys for 30K package, right? And it was for 5 minutes. Like I appreciate the offer. Like I'm not saying I don't. And I appreciate like what the Poker Bros have done for that, and that I got picked for that event by one of the Poker Bros, Nicky Mouse. Shoutouts to him. But at the same time, I'm disappointed by the structure of the final event. But that's like PokerStars' decision. They don't want to incentivize the winner of that event being necessarily the one with the most edge, or like the
being necessarily good.
Yeah, they just like to gamble it up. They have, they want the story, because they don't do it for the players. They want to do for themselves. They made the Platinum Plus adventure for themselves and not for the players. They say they made it for the players, but they freaking didn't. The Platinum Plus adventure is a promotion tournament for PokerStars because they want the winner of that tournament to be a recreational poker player who has the most insane story, who got from $0 because he got picked by one of the Poker Bros or one of the other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And he made it from $0 to winning a tournament for like 3-4 million. That's what they want. They want to buy the poker stories for themselves. They don't want it for the person.
Yeah, exactly. I felt this way about their whole rakeback system now, and it's like they're looking for the sensational. I understand how that, from a marketing standpoint of view, makes sense, but I understand in the long run how it does make sense. But remember how Moneymaker was really, really good for poker, and there was like this poker boom. It could happen. It could technically happen.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it could technically
happen. Yeah. But there were like some other things, like guy qualifying for like 100 FPPs, which means like frequent player points. Remember that guy who won the anniversary Sunday Million from like the satellite ticket that he got for like 100 points?
Sorry, I was distracted by a chat question.
There was a guy who won Sunday Million anniversary that had $1 million for top spot. He won it from like a 100 FPP
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
ticket, and that was like sensational because
absolutely
he turned $1 into $1 million. It was like, wow,
Yeah, that's insane. And stories like that can help.
They're trying to make stories like breach the poker world and go into like mass media. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So people could be like rattled by this, maybe like they could like get into poker. That's
but at the same time, isn't the Tom Dwan story what the poker dream is all about? Like more so than like the Luckbox who just made like $1 million in one tournament. Isn't like the guy?
I think that Moneymaker got way more people into poker that were bad than Tom.
What? Yeah, sure, that's true. Yeah.
Or Darwin Boone. Remember the logger from Maryland who got second place in the World Series of Poker when Joe Hashem won it, and he was like, so he got second place for like 4 million or something, and he was like the fourth guy in his home game. He wasn't even the best guy in his home game, So it can happen.
Yeah, but to me, poker is a bit of both. I totally agree that Moneymaker and Darwin Moon, they have been better for bringing on bad players, but poker can be symbiotic with like two big poles, and there's going to be people who have the dream of being lucky once. That's totally cool, and they chase the dream.
True.
And then on the other hand, people who try to play poker skillfully and get from a small amount to a big amount by grinding, by playing really well, by improving, by studying. And I think both can exist if you don't rake too much. And I think you should also cater to both, because we are not all the same human beings in poker. And different people from us, they speak to different messages. Some people are just like, oh, I just want to win once. I just want to get lucky once. That's totally cool if you want that person. But I also want that the other people who I definitely belong to and to have better chances to skillfully make it.
Of course.
And that was like the Tom Dwan thing that started.
Yeah, that got me into poker too, man. So I don't know. I can't really comment on this. I think.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it all started. It was like mass tabling, and he just got from, he went up to the high stakes. And whether that was with good bankroll management or not doesn't now matter at this point, but it was certainly possible for some people. And I think that's just something that I want to miss in poker in the future. And unfortunately, that dream, that has definitely died up to some point. Not fully, but to a lot of it.
But we'll see what comes in the future, man, because there's a lot of changes that I don't like. That's why I like GG Poker so much, because they give like 50% average rake back at like highest level, and highest level is actually pretty easy to achieve, even if you're playing like normal 25 and stuff like that.
How do you get to 50? How do you get to 50% rake back? Let's talk about GG a little bit. How do you get to 50%?
They have this. They have these wheels. So essentially, you have to be making. They have like tiered levels, like Start had, but they're like daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly, right? So at some point they have this level that is called the octopus, right? So you have to rake in $320, and then you get to spin a wheel that has 320 on it, or 160, or 240, right, and so on. So it has, like, you spin this wheel for your rake back. Basically, it's minimum 10%. You can get 100%, right? I'm now at the shark level. I have a month to rake 1K, right? This is the last level. And you have a month to rake 1K. You advance through the levels by being shrimp, plankton, rake $5, get to the next level. You become like bronze fish, silver fish, goldfish, and so on. And then you become like a whale, and like it's octopus, whale, and so on, right? When you get to like the shark level, you have to rake 1K. You have a 1 month time frame. And you spin a wheel that's 100, 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000. And average is at 50%, because the chances usually are equal between all of them, right? I literally watched like Brian Paris last night spin like an 800, and I was like, I want to spin that too. I got to spin that like 2 times, and I got minimum and 250, and it was fucked up.
Yeah, I thought the wheel was uneven, but maybe it's not.
It is. You get the odds. You get the odds in the poker client. It shows you the odds, and I heard that the odds are based on how well you ran. So if you run bad, you actually have more odds to get the top one.
Okay. That sounds pretty funny.
It's kind of, yeah, it is. But like I heard it influences like how good or bad you ran, because the PokerCraft, the built-in like the built-in tracking, right? The built-in tracking will tell you how lucky you have been or not in like recent times. Like you can filter like a date between dates, and it'll tell you you've been unlucky.
So a losing player will get more.
Yes. Okay. Yes, more likely, yes. And yeah, pretty much. It's been a wild ride with the guys at GG, but I think they really have some innovative stuff. Like banning HUDs is good. I think it like lets you also play on mobile, which is pretty awkward. But I actually had fun for tabling on mobile, which is pretty cool, because you don't get like the other players don't actually get an edge over you, because obviously you don't have a HUD on mobile. But if you don't have a HUD on the side, then you don't get. You can play on mobile like legit.
Okay, that is it. That is for sure a thing. Yeah, I also when I thought about playing mobile, that's one thing. Like if they have a HUD and I don't, it sucks.
Yeah, exactly. But it's evened out.
At the same time, I like HUDs from the learning perspective, and I think some sites always should have that up, because it's like having a HUD, having Hold'em manager and all these hands just makes you analyze your database and then become much better. And that's, I think that's very valuable. But anyway, I mean, yeah, if you have 50% of rake back on GG as a cap, if you rake $1,000, that's actually pretty good. I know that the game's higher than 1-2. I'll definitely say.
Sorry. Just 1 sec.
Yeah.
You said like 50% as a cap?
Yeah.
No, it's average. It's 100% is the cap.
Yeah, but I mean, but I mean, like average, like that's the average for me is like what you can get if you play a lot. right?
Yeah,
And play a
50%.
lot this month, making $1,000 in rake or raking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you get to that, the thing is the rake is also, when you look after $1, $2 just to make the correct, the rake is also higher than on most sites. Like especially when you look at the high stakes 25-50, the rake is very, very high. Like it's 3% and with a high cap of like almost like live poker casino dollar rake. So yeah, I think GG poker can be really good until the mid stakes as a side.
I know for a fact that like 1, 2, and 2, 4 are really soft.
Yeah.
Above that, I don't really have any experience, but it's kick-ass watching Bill Perkins play with Sammy Kalopuro and Isildur.
Did play Bill play on GG?
Bill Perkins, yes, he has the same nickname, Gastrator. It was on his Twitter, and we railed his table for a little bit. There's also Sammy Kalopuro, Lars Luzak is playing there.
Oh, okay.
Especially whenever Bill Perkins joins the table. There's like 100 to 100 table that has unlimited buy-in. So people bought in for like 20K, 50K, and also Isildur plays there under the nickname of Danny Ocean. So him, Sammy Kalopuro, and Bill Perkins were firing it up with some other guys at the table. It was pretty intense. The action was pretty intense. It's nice to rail.
Okay, cool.
And also GG Poker exclusive, there's like a daily high roller that Bryn Kenny plays every day. It's a 5K entry and 100K guaranteed. And that's also really cool to rail.
That's daily.
Yeah, it's daily and it runs.
Okay. I mean, I saw something about the 5K high roller, but I didn't know that it was daily.
It started being daily because people were requesting it.
Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, everyone is grinding those tournaments, and Party probably adds those in as well now on GG Poker. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I'm happy that some other sites are around. One question I want to ask you, we're talking about it before as well, a little bit too. Some people were banned. What do you have to from Natural 8 in particular? Like people have contacted me, they were banned from Natural 8. Can talk a little bit about why you think that was, and why do you think GG Poker is legit?
So first of all, the thing is Natural 8. The thing is, what you have to understand, first of all, from this point of view, is that GG is a network, just like iPoker was. iPoker had many skins that were usually bookie sites that wanted also poker, so they bought. William Hill bought it, right? Remember iPoker, William Hill, Betfair, NetBet, some other skins, right? So each of these skins kind of manages their players independently, right? So whereas Natural 8 would decide on maybe banning winning players, but I'm not going to say banning winning players because I don't know the history about these guys. Some of these guys actually used bots and then went to 2+2 and complained that they were like winning players. They got banned, but they got proved to have like botnet. I've talked a little bit to GG Poker security department, and they're very, very, very fired up about banning bots because they're really bad for the game, about banning. And also one thing that people have misregarded and is not actually a thing to misregard is keeping other age software open while the client is running. Whereas you can't really use the poker software client. You can't really use the poker software client with like Hold'em Mantra because it won't work. They still state that you're not allowed to keep those softwares open while you're playing the actual game. So that might have brought some people towards getting banned. But one thing that happened was all of these players got their funds back. Like no one ever confiscated any funds, right? You're just not allowed. We don't want to serve you anymore, right? So one thing that is, I've heard about this on Natural 8, but for all the players that have been signed up through me and through some other partners that I have in Team GG, no one has ever had any problems with GG Poker. Also, GG Poker is based in Ireland. They got like license in the UK, and they're getting to be a really, really big site. If you just go right now on like Poker Scout, it's a site that tracks like volume for like every poker site, you'll see that GG Poker is actually the 6th right now, right? It's beating 888. It's beating America's Card Room, which is WPN network. It's beating Guy Poker right now. It's beating Unibet. It's beating like MPN, which is used to be like a really, really big network. And it's only behind Stars Europe, IDM Poker, which actually I haven't gotten into that like yet, and Party and Winamax. So it's the 6th biggest site. Well, actually 5th because PokerStars and PokerStars Europe.
Yeah, sure. I think
So
like
it's becoming a massive player.
IDN in particular is something, Asian based, and I think you can just get into it, and a lot of people have had negative comments about it, for sure. So that it's not like this either bots or rigged, or you're not gonna get paid. So there's been a lot of races. So I wouldn't really get into that at the moment. So you'd rather get into Poker Master and PvP poker.
So I really like, what I really want to recommend is GG Poker, as being based in Ireland. They're a bunch of very, very funny, cool, and great Irish lads. I really like. I talk to them almost on a daily basis, and we always have fun. My friend there was always telling me, like, man, I just wanna at some point, I just wanna get a vacation so I can play Destiny, but or like Path of Exile or something like that, because I've been working so hard at the software and it's like building it, but I love it. I don't want to get a vacation, and stuff like that.
Cool.
They're really cool guys. And they have gaming behind. Most of them have gaming behind. And another guy that I talked to from there, they have really experienced guys. Like, he told me a story where he saved from like Full Tilt. He saved like John Juanda's bankroll from being like actually hacked. That was pretty cool, because they have people with experience behind, work for Full Tilt, work for like in the security department. That's big. That's really big. That's
really useful. Yeah, people are really serious about poker. Yeah, if you get to know some people behind the scenes, it's definitely better. I've actually signed up through Daryl Moore on GG Poker. So I've also signed up to one of the people streaming for GG in particular. So yeah, I had like one occurrence where I got warned about using soft raid, and I was using like Hold'em Manager 2, but I didn't use a hat at all. Like, I just had Hold'em Manager.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. But the TOS says that you're not allowed to have any poker aiding software, which means how to do. But I'm sure that if you talk to them, they're gonna be more than just fine. Like, maybe like marking you like he's running HM2 or whatever, he's not gonna get that alert anymore. That's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it could be that. Maybe I just text them before I start playing again on there. And sometimes I just played also GG Poker exclusively on like one day, and I didn't have it open maybe. Then it's okay. But might just send them a text how to do that, because I definitely sometimes want to mass table on different sites. It's really useful especially when you play regular speed. You can play Party Poker, PokerStars, and GG Poker at the same time if you have a good table everywhere. It can be really useful for a session, for sure. Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about Party Poker at all, or like?
Also, one more thing. Shout out to Tight Pockets. How's it going, my dude? So Tight Pockets is the student that I told you that was like recently in Vegas, and he really enjoys Caesar. Yeah. Okay, so am I allowed to talk about Party? Of course, I'm allowed to talk about everything, but I'm not allowed to play on Party because of licensing in my country.
Oh yeah, because
it's sad memes. Yeah, sad memes. So
that is sad. Yeah, for sure. Like that's.
They have new good software, right?
Yeah, they have some new software, which is definitely exciting for them. And what I think I also talked with them about that with Calentro a little bit. Their live brand is actually doing really well. Like, the experience for Party Poker Live is actually, I think people enjoy the live experience. I was never there yet.
And also, they got Biggest Nacho in their team, which is cool because he's also a former student of mine, so that's really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I might, for example, now I've just traveled on EPTs, but I might mix in some Party Poker at some point as well, just to see how it is. Like in Prague, I think they were there last year at the same time as PokerStars. Their cash game was a bit disappointing. It's just they had high roller cash games, like Deep Stack 5-10 and 10-20, and it was
maybe they didn't want people losing their buy-ins at cash tables,
Maybe not. Yeah,
that could be an idea.
Yeah, but they had lots of people buying into a 1K tournament in the Party Poker, and they had some high rollers. So some of the high roller players were sometimes playing Party Poker, sometimes playing. You
remember Party Poker was like the first site at some point. Remember?
Yeah, of course. Like, I wasn't in the industry, but Party Poker was obviously with Mike Saxon and all those people that were really big at some point. Yeah,
they were at some point. They were the best. So remember those commercials with like the dog. And the guy who was trying to play with inflatable doll.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Guy was like trying to play with inflatable doll, and at some point the inflatable doll was like, it was just like deflate, right? And he was like, do you fold? And the commercial was based on no one to play with. Come down to Party Poker and play with like your friends online or something like that. I thought that was really, really good. That was like televised commercials, and they were really good. Or like, there was like a policeman playing with his dog, and he was like, German shepherds. I don't trust shepherds. And he was like, all in. And the dog was like pushing the dog. They got the dog to push the chip stack with his head. It was so good. It was like, yeah, okay. It was like, no, you don't win. I take the chips. And the dog started growling. You know, it's so good. It's so good, legitimately good. No one to play with. Come down to Party Poker. You know,
I actually, don't doubt that. Like, I don't know much about that time before, but I really wonder what happened to Party some years ago. Like now they're doing things. I see that. But what made they were terrible 3-4 years ago. What happened to them when Stars took over full tilt?
I don't think they were terrible. I think they were the same. That's the problem. They were the same. Stars came with some new things, and then they just overtook.
Not only the same, I think they were getting worse. Like their online software was sometimes getting worse than the one before. They had bugs. They had so many bad things. They, for a short amount of time, they didn't just stand still. They actually implemented net teller fees and e-wallet fees to their clients.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Huge misstep. I mean, sure, now they don't have that anymore, but like, why would you do that when you're not the number one? Like, as the number one, you always kind of get cocky and say, okay, whatever, PokerStars, we do everything terrible. We just try to make the most money. But as number two, number three, you're not in that position to fuck it up.
Yeah, and then Full Tilt came with learn chat and play with the pros. It was so good. Like it's ridiculously good. They had Tom Dwan at the top of their roster, and he was like crushing their games, dude.
Yeah,
they had everyone. They got everyone in the poker world that was relevant. They got Harmon. They got Ivy at some point. Ivy was huge for them. They got Tom Dwan, which was their new like representative man, which was crazy. They got, let's not talk about Ferguson and Lederer, right? But they got like a lot of personalities. They got Mike the Mouth and Alan Cunningham to do a commercial for them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of things going on until the Full Tilt scandal happened. But
yeah, but they were good. They were really good at some point. Full Tilt was the top guy. Again.
Now I really hope for Run It Once to start very soon and hopefully start it well. And I hope that people, on Twitch, I talked about this with Carl Lencho as well. Guys, if you haven't watched the podcast with Carl Lencho, we talk about this as well. And I think it's relevant for all poker players. So if you're watching this, I really do believe that the poker industry, you have to think a little bit more in that space and what's happening. And that I hope that people over time, they don't get blinded by what Stars is doing and see it really for what it is. And really that people, even though the playing experience on Stars is still the best, I hope all the sites will keep up with it, and they will also not only make the playing experience similar or on the same level, but also more fair when it comes to their terms of service with Rake and everything. And with Ganja talked about like, why do people on Twitch love PokerStars streams so damn much? Like, it's not.
I'll tell you what. It's not.
What's your opinion?
It's MTT final tables and high stakes Zoom. Because high stakes Zoom, there's a lot of regulars that try to pick up on other regulars' tendencies. So Zoom is very, very much plus EV for them, starting at 25 and then you get 500. Also, the other thing is watching PokerStars. The other thing, first of all, is that Lex auto hosts a lot of PokerStars streamers. So that's where the influx comes. Probably has a contract with them or something. He auto-hosts. He hosts PokerStars stream. He hosts everything, right? So that's where a big influx of viewers comes from. And also the other thing is PokerStars Final Table have very big guarantees up top. Everybody knows that, so they just want to watch that. I've been turning this around with GG. I've been like in some of the top spots sometimes, based on like final tables and stuff. People have been coming in. They've been asking, what is the software? Is this good? And stuff like that. And it's been great. It's been great, actually. I got people to like be receptive of trying to teach them why the software is actually better.
Yeah.
And they opened their eyes, and I'm getting decent viewership.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just talking about like the thousands, and sure.
Yeah, it would probably be, look, man, it would probably be way easier to get viewership if I just played MTT on Stars, but I don't want to give in,
Yeah. Like, this is also something that I really want to achieve on Twitch a little bit, that if I have something going on another site, like, maybe GG or Party Poker or run it once poker in the future. I hope that people can see that these sites definitely have better intentions than PokerStars does, because PokerStars has no good intentions for you. That's just like, you might win on PokerStars, you might get especially on MTTs. I think MTTs is by far the best format right now on PokerStars. If you're recreational, of course, you can become a winning player there the fastest. Like every other format at higher limits, especially because Raking PLO is so high, is going to be tough. It takes a long time. You're going to have to get really, really good at the game before you start making money. And maybe on other sides that will be better achievable. And I hope that, people on Twitch, they're going to see that other sites are legit too. And that they don't only follow people who play on PokerStars and those final tapes. But I thought it was just a bit ridiculous, because even the final tapes on Party Poker, there was like Stefan Sonheimer. Also, by the way, from like from those streamers from that new streaming team, GG No Limit, like he's really good also as a streamer. Like he, from the very beginning, he was really used to talking about hands, and shoutouts to him being, exceptionally good at playing poker and talking about the strategies and the round poker at the same time. I thought that was exceptional for someone who hasn't had like weeks, months of poker streaming experience. If you want to watch someone who gives you high-level strategy advice, go to Stefan Sonheim for sure.
And Scrimitzu.
And also, of course, to us, shout outs to us. But I hope you guys that are here know us a little bit already. But we're going to obviously, by the way, if you haven't followed Scrimitzu, it's going to be twitch.tv/Scrimitzu. And the socials are going to be all below this podcast. We're going to have everything's Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, where you can follow not only Scrimitzu, but also me. If you're new to this, if you just tuned in, also let us know, if you have any questions in the chat. We're obviously more than happy to answer that. But what I wanted to make is that Sonheimer was streaming like a 200K first final table on Party Poker. Nobody was watching. It was like half a year ago. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like sure, he was like new into this, but how the fuck does he get like less than 100 viewers, I believe, on like a insane run up to like a final table, extreme skill, and people then just tune in to like random Big 11 on like any PokerStars streamer. So there must be something, not only that's like, sure, it's the brand, it's the people behind it, people know, all the PokerStars streamers, sure, it's like the familiarity with it. Like you basically are staying loyal to what you see, right? Being familiar with all these people. But at the same time, there has to be some other elements too. And I can't figure that out, because for me, I'm like a different person. And when I watch a stream, when I tune in, I want to see some strategy, but I like at the minority. Like I want to hear something about poker in a thoughtful way, and not just about like basic stuff. But people want to see obviously basics. I understand that. Players create the play pool, though they take the rest for themselves. What do you mean, Cam Coop? Exactly. Let me know in the chat. Let us know. So let's see what comes up in the future. And I think we discussed most of it, and we're gonna see. Hopefully, run it once. I might. I'm definitely going to contact Phil for a podcast. I hope that this podcast becomes big enough so that I can have.
You can have Phil on.
Phil got found on the podcast. That would be amazing, because I really want to talk to him about Run It Once Poker, his intentions a bit more. I have also some different questions that hopefully haven't been asked. I think most of them have been asked, but especially after launch, like what is his intention, what he, how much experience he has with Twitch and everything, and how much. Because Twitch, I think, is the way to win, isn't it? Like if you want to win, I think Twitch has to be.
I guess, man, it can be. It can be. But if you're dedicated enough, you have to be very consistent as a streamer.
I didn't mean myself. I meant like poker.
Yes.
Like I meant more like a poker site, the presence on Twitch, like getting those.
Yes. Sorry, yeah.
I don't think though that Twitch like are super huge net depositors like in that regard, but they're gonna spread the word.
They're doing something. They're doing something with like gaming streamers, bringing them into poker. Did you see like Unibet did that whole tournament with like Jari and On-Screen and a lot of these gaming streamers? They bought them in for a tournament. They gave them, and it was televised on Twitch Poker, and it was like huge. Because all of their followers all gathered together into one stream, to see their favorite play the poker tournament, and brought a lot of people towards.
I think what's really important, and Xflex is also doing some of that, is that they do like some coaching with those streamers. So Xflex coaches like 2 or 3 German streamers, I believe, also for a Platinum Pass Adventure, another thing. And that's really good, because then they're gonna meet Xflex, and they're gonna also watch his stream if they want to learn more about poker. So it's important that it's not only the big brands of the gamers, but that poker people actually interact with them. Like they have to be
exactly.
Isildur was playing on there in that game. That was insane. Like on Unibet.
Yes. I remember.
It's just again that Unibet as a brand is still not. Yeah, I mean they did quite a bunch of stuff, which I was happy about that. Yeah, those poker streams.
I think their software sucks. They have to.
But they just have to update.
Dude, I was playing there. When they did that update. I fucking quit. I couldn't see the numbers. I couldn't see. It was ridiculous. They made some sort of anti-reg measures that was stupid.
Who's the biggest Twitch poker streamer right now? It's Lex Veldhuis, I think.
Lex Veldhuis.
Yeah, by far.
The daddy.
Yeah. I think that just take anything outside the player contribute price but along with their percent of buy-in. So I was saying that probably Lex 10K, 7K viewers when I did live in CBI. He went up to 35K viewers. It's insane. He's also like Twitch-wise really high up there. So he basically won the game within poker. And he's about to
game within Twitch, dude.
And then now it's within Twitch. He's up.
He's like equivalent of like Summit 1G or Lyric, and
that's absolutely insane. So that is, by the way, obviously it's never. I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about that I just want Twitch poker to grow. I want people to spread a good word about poker, and I don't think PokerStars is doing a good job at it at all. Like. I don't think they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I hope that some other side will do it in the future. And I hope that people are not gonna watch people like nothing. Like I like a lot of the PokerStars streamer. Like I'm buddies with them, but nothing against them. It's just against the brand that they're representing, which I'm totally not okay with. I wish they represented another brand. Like I honestly, like the best thing that could happen for poker right now, and that's my opinion, is Lex Veldhuis being the ambassador for another poker site. Like run it once.
That's not going to happen soon, but
I know, absolutely.
There might be. I think that Galfan's smart enough to get some other guys on there and maybe get them straight.
I hope that some other guys are gonna.
GG Poker is trying. I don't know if you know this, but GG Poker is trying with Bryn Kenny to bring him to stream his 5K tournaments.
Yeah, but the thing is that I mean Brian Kenny is certainly going to be a figure in poker. But I think like he's
like top 10 or top 5 now, all-time money winners, like life tournaments.
I mean, it's pretty good. Nothing to take away from him. But these days, the important people are definitely the guys that like Tonka, Lex Veldhuis, Jamie Staples. These are the big names in Twitch poker, and I just hope for one of them to finally then see that PokerStars is not going to be the best for poker.
I guess they're just on like a too good of a payroll, and you can't.
I think so. They're
maybe just a few years.
Make too much money. Maybe one of them will get rich enough that he can afford to go on another side. I just hope for one of them to pick like a million.
It's greed, man. It's greed. I don't know.
What?
It's greed. I don't know.
I mean, I can totally understand it. If you're on a payroll of PokerStars, no doubt about it. I can totally understand. Like, I'm obviously not going to talk, but hopefully I have some of them on the podcast. I also try to ask them what they can talk about. Of course, like I'm gonna have a podcast with Xflex, by the way, guys. If you want to see a podcast with Xflex, come up here on the channel. I'm obviously not going to talk about these things with him, as he's not allowed to speak about it. I wish I could be critical because, by the way, I think Xflex makes a great job. Like in the German community, his community is so nice. It's unbelievable. Like the German community behind Xflex and everything, they're so nice. I mean, just like he has a huge community to build and. How he introduces them to poker. I just wish it wasn't with PokerStars, because now I get all the hate that PokerStars gets. I just get it because even though I still play the most on PokerStars and I stream PokerStars, it's not that I'm representing the brand or anything. Like I'm just playing on there
it to make money.
So the money, not only the money. I think I will make more money on other sites, but it's just still they have, in my opinion, super good software.
Yeah, the software is fine.
I think it's the number one, like for me, it's still the number one platform to make me a better player. But as soon as I got that, I'm done with PokerStars. I think for a much part, unless I can obviously I'm just gonna have a look at if there's a good game running. But if I make it to the top someday, I would be done with it, because there's no reason that keeps me in PokerStars. PokerStars is just there for competition and to get better, to analyze my game. But at some point, I hope that you know.
All right, Andreas, I'm gonna do like Nick the Greek did to Johnny Moss. Do you know the story?
Nick the Greek, Johnny Moss? No, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Johnny Moss was one of the biggest players like of poker back then, right? And Nick the Greek was like a really big like businessman that also enjoyed poker a lot. And they played a 5-month-long heads-up poker marathon, right? Set by Benny Binion, was actually like a mob boss back then. And Johnny Moss won around between 2 to 4 million from Nick the Greek, which back then meant like I think 20 now, between 20 and 40 right now. And when this ended, Nick the Greek uttered something that remained in like poker history as being one of the most famous quotes ever, which is, "Mr. Moss, I have to let you go." Like after 5 months of playing heads up, right? After 5 months of playing heads up, he just gets, and the guy losing basically a fortune to like Johnny, he gets up and he's like, "Okay, Mr. Moss, I have to let you go. So I'm going to say, Andreas, I have to let you go now." But you get like one last question.
Maybe one from the chat, guys, if you can come up with one question.
There we go. One last question. Also, shout out to Real Frank Mayo. Hello.
So guys, now it's your chance. Send people watching. You gotta get in chat, otherwise I will do
Real Frank Mayo says, "Didn't PokerStars say that their streamers aren't winning players?" That's such a fucking insult. Would you feel okay with that if you were like a poker streamer?
Well, I just show the numbers. I mean, people can ask me.
Yeah. I know. But the company that you work for is saying you're not a winning player.
Oh well, that obviously, yeah, that's not their business to say that. I don't think they did say that though. I don't.
Real Frank Mayo said that.
Like maybe they said that it's not that important to them, which it's probably not. Like it's not important to PokerStars that their streamers are winning players. That's no secret. Like, but they cannot say that their players are not winning players, because some of them definitely are.
Yes. Tonka obviously is, but I don't know if Tonka
is not even PokerStars Pro.
Oh, okay. I think Jamie Staples is definitely winning player in tournaments. Yeah. I don't know. Lex is definitely winning players in tournaments, but I don't know if he's like winning in like the thrill or something like that, like 1K plus buy-ins. Yeah. Not sure.
Honestly, about the lower ones and the 1Ks plus, maybe not, but
like mid plus. I think like mid plus. He's good. He's also gotten recently into like coachings with like Ben CB, and I think he's okay now.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, I don't think a lot of people can be really consistent in these 1K tournaments. I think there are like, again, the 5%.
Yeah, the 5%. Right, so last questions. If it doesn't come from chat, then I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna pick one. What do we do? Who within the poker world do you look up to the most, and why?
Right now or 10 years ago? No, I look up to Baron a lot for keeping his game like up to par for like such a long time.
OTB Red Baron.
Yes, Baron, OTB Red Baron. I look up to Isildur for coming in with something that no one expected and bashing a lot of people, like just destroying a site. He just came in with like, you know what he did? He was like basically just balancing over bets, and no one knew how to like counteract that, and he just destroyed the site. You know, like he just had like a 5K bankroll, and in like a few weeks he made it like into 2 million, and then he took that money off Dawn. You remember that, right?
OTP or who?
No. I'm talking about Isildur now.
Isildur, yeah. Of course.
Okay, so like he had 5K in a few weeks. He had 2 million. He just destroyed Dawn afterwards. He just took the man down.
Yeah,
and he became the man. Right.
His story is insane. Yeah.
Right. So what he did was just come up with something that no one ever did. Right. Like balancing over bets, and he just did it so well that he destroyed everyone, and that was it. Like no one knew how to react. He had a huge edge over anything, and it wasn't thought like. The possibility never even crossed anyone else's mind, right? And he did something that was insane at the time. It was so advanced that people today at like high stakes are having trouble with that, right? So like people today, like let's say mid stakes, not nosebleeds, right? Not what like True Tiller and Linus Love is playing right now, but I'm talking about like people at like medium stakes are like having trouble with that right now, like reacting to overbets and reacting to like a lot of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, you can just exploit regs that way, like very easily.
Isildur and OTB, so the skill players. So you really come from that skill angle, and with that, I want to thank you a lot for being here on the podcast, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. At first, we were talking a little bit about series. Now we went into a lot of poker topics. Hope you got some value out of that. If you did, don't forget to smash that like buttons down there, and also let some other people know about the podcast. Also, don't forget to follow Scrimitzu on his social media. It will be below in the description. Otherwise, it's twitch.tv/Scrimitzu. You can find him on there streaming, 5 times a week on Twitch. Is that correct?
Around that. Sometimes 6, sometimes 2, but I guess I'm trying to be a bit constant. One more thing that I wanted to say was that thank you very much for having me here. And I'm not really shy upon doing another of these podcasts in like maybe 10 editions, 20 editions. If you want to have me on like sometimes else and we can discuss about more things, I'd be happy to do it.
I would be happy to have you on if you finish when you finish your challenge. So
yes, I think that would be like a great milestone. That would be a good point, because with Kalencha, same thing. If he ends up the challenge, you're definitely going to have him back on the podcast. Exactly.
Same for you. Exactly. If you finish that. I like having challenges. I have one of my own as well. So I'm going to let you have the last word before I click the stop button. Hope you guys enjoyed it, but up to you.
All right. Last words towards people who are watching or will be watching this. Poker's not dead. It's definitely something that you can look up to as being as actually your job, as being like a way, like more of a lifestyle than a job. It's been very rewarding for me. I recommend going and exploring your options before going just directly to PokerStars or any other sites. Okay, explore your options always. Work hard, because it's a domain where you get rewarded based on your work, your knowledge, and whatever time you can put into it. Even if you have a job, don't fret, don't be afraid, because you can definitely do this. Me and Andres have been doing it for like quite some time right now, and I do believe that a lot of people have been doing it for like 20 years now, and it still can be beat. The game can be beat pretty easily. So yeah, just get into it and you'll have some fun, or at least have fun, because it's a good game, and learn some skill. Either way, sub to Andres. He's got big plans for this channel, so I'm sure that you'll get to enjoy his other podcasts or videos. And listen to what he says about Omaha, because he's a Omaha playing god. Okay, so yeah. Andres, I hope you sun run a lot in like your games. You're like Zoom. You're playing like Zoom 200, right now. I guess.
Yeah, it's Zoom 200 basically.
All right. I hope you sun run, because Omaha can be a very, very good game if you sun run for like 100 buy-ins. And then I hope you have a graph like Kumikon's at some point. I don't know if it's like possible right now, but maybe you can find like a possibility at some point to get a graph like his, and then just give up. And one more thing that I wanted to add that I didn't actually add during the podcast, and I had a few occasions, was Elon Musk at some point said like the life expectancy is about 75. Why would you work 55 to have 11 of freedom?
Yeah.
Right? Why would you work 55 years to have 11 years of freedom? Make it the reverse. Try to find a way, if not poker or anything else, try to make it the reverse, and then be free. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me here.
Thanks, man. And I'm going to wrap it up here.